Nnenna stood over the pot, stirring pepper soup that smelled like heaven itself. The aroma filled every corner of their small home in Amuru village. Steam rose and danced in the lamplight. But when she finished cooking, she did something that would shock anyone who knew her. She served only one bowl. Just one. She sat down at the wooden table, pulled the bowl close, and began to eat. Slowly. Deliberately. Like she was the only person in the world. Obinna pushed open the door moments later. His clothes were dusty from the farm. His shoulders sagged with tiredness. He had worked all day under the sun, thinking about the warm meal waiting for him at home. But when he looked at the table, his heart sank. One bowl, one spoon, and his wife, eating alone, like he didn't exist. He said nothing. He just stood there, watching her chew. Then, without a word, he walked to the lantern seller's payment box on the shelf and dropped in exact coins. Only his half, not hers. The storm outside began to rumble. It wasn't always like this. Just 1 week ago, Nnenna and Obinna were the kind of couple people pointed to and said, "See, that is what marriage should look like." They laughed together, they walked to the market holding hands, they shared everything, from food to dreams to the burdens of daily life. But during the village festival, something broke. It started small, like most disasters do. Obinna made a comment about Nnenna's cooking in front of his friends. He laughed while saying it like it was nothing, but his words cut her deep. She felt small, embarrassed, disrespected in front of people who mattered. She fired back. Her words were sharp too, aimed at his pride. She said things about his earnings, about how he provided, things she knew would sting, and they did. That night, they both went to bed angry. Neither apologized. Pride stood between them like a wall made of stone. And every day after, that wall grew taller. Across the street, old Mazi Chukura watched them leave the festival separately. He shook his head slowly and whispered to himself, "When pride enters a home, love runs away." The next morning, Nnenna woke up with a decision made. If Obinna wanted to disrespect her, then he would feel her absence. She would cook, yes, but only for herself. Let him see what life feels like without her care. She prepared jollof rice that afternoon, the kind with perfectly fried plantains on the side, the kind that made neighbors lean out their windows just to smell it. But when it was ready, she scooped one plate. She arranged it beautifully, like she was serving royalty. Then she sat down and ate alone. Obinna came home and saw the empty pot. His stomach growled. He looked at her, waiting for an explanation, for something. But Nnenna just chewed her food slowly, her eyes fixed on the wall. "So this is how we're doing things now?" he asked quietly. She didn't answer. She didn't even look at him. He clenched his jaw, turned around, and left the house. As he walked out, he whispered under his breath, "Let her feel my absence too." And that was how the war truly began. Obinna was a man of action. If Nnenna wanted to play this game, he would play it better. The next day, the roof started leaking during a rainstorm. Water dripped into the corner of their bedroom. Nnenna called out to him, expecting him to fix it like he always did. But Obinna only fixed his side. He climbed up, patched the part above where he slept, then climbed back down. He left her side of the roof open, dripping water onto her mat. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice rising. "I fixed my half," he said, calmly. "You fix yours." She stared at him in disbelief, but she said nothing. She just moved her mat to the dry side and slept facing the wall. The next week, the water bill came. Obinna paid only his portion, half. He calculated it carefully, down to the last kobo. When the water seller came asking for the rest, Nnenna had to pay it herself. And so it went. Half kerosene, half firewood, half soap. Everything divided. Their home, once whole, became a battlefield of silent calculations and cold punishments. The people of Amuru village were not blind. They saw the change. Mama Ngozi, the market woman, whispered to her friend while selling tomatoes, "That couple, Nnenna and Obinna, something is broken between them." "What happened?" her friend asked, leaning closer. "Nobody knows exactly, but they don't walk together anymore. They don't laugh. I saw them at the well last week, and they acted like strangers." Another woman joined the conversation. Her voice dropped low. "You know what they say. When a man and woman divide their home, curses start to enter. The spirits don't bless a house with two hearts." Nnenna overheard this conversation while buying peppers. She froze. Her hand trembled slightly as she handed over her money. That word, curse, stuck in her chest like a thorn. She walked home slowly that day, her basket heavy on her head, but her heart heavier. She wanted to turn back. She wanted to apologize, but every time she thought about it, pride rose up and choked the words before they could leave her mouth. When she got home, she cooked again, only for herself. Again. Old Mazi Chakura had seen many things in his 70 years. He had seen love turn to hate. He had seen friendships destroyed by jealousy, and he had seen marriages collapse under the weight of pride. When he saw Nnenna and Obinna walking past each other without speaking, he knew he had to act. He called them to his compound one evening. They came separately, of course. They sat on opposite ends of his wooden bench, not looking at each other. "Do you know the story of the forbidden silk cotton tree?" Mazi asked. They both shook their heads. "That tree," he continued, pointing toward the edge of the village, "is older than this village itself. The elders say it has roots that reach into the spirit world, and it has one rule. It punishes pride, especially the pride that breaks homes." Obinna scoffed quietly. "It's just a tree, elder." But even as he said it, a cold shiver ran down his spine. Nnenna said nothing, but her fingers gripped her wrapper tightly. Mazi leaned forward. "Your silent war is awakening something old. Be careful." That night, Nnenna and Obinna lay on opposite edges of their bed. A cold space stretched between them, wider than the actual distance. Neither spoke, neither moved, but both were awake, drowning in their own thoughts. Nnenna's chest ached. She thought about the early days of their marriage, how Obinna used to wake her up with kisses, how he used to say she was his greatest blessing. Now he barely looked at her. And whose fault was that? Hers? His? Both? A tear slid down her cheek. She quickly wiped it away, trying to stay silent, but a soft sob escaped. Just one. Obinna heard it. His heart clenched. For a moment, he almost reached out, almost touched her shoulder, almost whispered, "I'm sorry." But pride held his hand back. He stayed still, pretending to sleep. The roof above them creaked. Outside, the wind howled, and somewhere deep in the forest, near the forbidden silk cotton tree, something ancient stirred. It felt the division in their home, it felt the pride, and it began to move. 2 days later, Obinna needed firewood. The pile near the house had run out, and he refused to ask Nnenna for help. So he took his axe and headed toward the forest. toward the edge where the old trees grew. He knew he shouldn't go near the forbidden silk cotton tree. Mozzie's warning still echoed in his mind, but Obinna was stubborn. He didn't believe in old stories. Spirits and curses are things for children and fearful people, not for men like him. As he walked deeper into the forest, the air grew colder. The birds stopped singing. Even the insects went silent. He reached the clearing where the massive tree stood, its roots twisted like serpents above the ground. He hesitated. Just for a second. Then he heard it, a whisper. Soft, like wind through leaves, but the air was completely still. Obinna. He spun around. Nobody was there. His heart started pounding. He gripped his axe tighter, trying to convince himself it was just his imagination. But then he felt it. A pull. Like something was calling him closer to the tree. Obinna stepped forward, almost against his will. The tree seemed to breathe. Its branches swayed even though there was no wind. He raised his axe, aiming for a nearby dead branch, but the moment his blade touched the wood, everything went wrong. A thick branch above him snapped. It fell fast, crashing down on his shoulder and slamming him to the ground. Pain exploded through his body. He tried to scream, but the air was knocked out of his lungs. The world spun. His vision blurred. He lay there, gasping, staring up at the twisted branches above. And then, just before he lost consciousness, he heard something impossible. Nnenna's voice. But she wasn't there. The voice came from inside his head. Her thoughts, her pain, her anger, her sadness, everything she had been hiding from him poured into his mind like water breaking through a dam. Why doesn't he see me? Why doesn't he care anymore? I feel so alone. Obinna's eyes widened in horror. Then everything went black. That same night, miles away in their home, Nnenna lay down to sleep. But the moment her eyes closed, she wasn't in her bed anymore. She was standing in the forest. She saw Obinna lying on the ground, bleeding. She felt his pain, sharp and real, like it was her own body broken on the forest floor. And then she felt something else. His regret, his guilt, his loneliness, all the feelings he had locked away and refused to show her flooded into her chest. She saw memories that weren't hers. She saw Obinna as a boy being told by his father, "A man who shows weakness will be trampled." She felt his fear of looking soft, her terror of losing respect. She felt everything. Nnenna woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. Her hands were shaking. She whispered into the darkness, "Those were not my feelings." But across the room, Obinna, who had just been carried home by neighbors who found him unconscious, murmured in his fevered sleep, and the words coming out of his mouth were hers, her secret fears, her hidden pain. He was speaking her heart. The next morning, they both woke up confused and terrified. Something had changed. Something was horribly wrong. Whenever Nnenna felt anger, Obinna's chest tightened with the same rage. When Obinna felt sadness, Nnenna's eyes filled with tears she didn't understand. They were connected now, not by choice, not by love, but by something deeper and more terrifying. Their emotions had crossed, merged, tangled together like roots under the earth. Nnenna tried to cook breakfast, still refusing to make food for him. But the moment she felt the spite rise in her chest, she also felt Obinna's hurt. It hit her like a punch. She dropped her spoon, gasping. Obinna sat outside, trying to ignore her, But every time she felt lonely, he felt it too. Her emptiness became his emptiness. Her ache became his ache. By midday, they were both exhausted, drained. They sat on opposite sides of the house, breathing hard, trying to understand what was happening to them. And deep in the forest, the forbidden tree's roots pulsed with ancient power. The punishment had begun. That evening, they both fell asleep from exhaustion, and in their sleep, they shared the same vision. They saw themselves older, grayer, standing in the ruins of their home. The roof had collapsed, the walls were crumbling, and between them stood a massive, unbridgeable gap. In the vision, their future selves looked broken, hollow, defeated, and a voice, neither male nor female, whispered through the wind, "This is what pride builds, destruction." They both woke up at the exact same moment, gasping. Their eyes met across the dark room. For the first time in weeks, they truly looked at each other. "Did you?" Nnenna whispered. "Yes," Obinna breathed. They sat in stunned silence. Then Nnenna stood and stumbled to Mazi Chukwuwora's house, Obinna following close behind. They pounded on his door until the old man opened it, his eyes knowing and sad. "It has already begun," Mazi said before they could speak. "The tree does not punish with pain. It punishes with truth. You are being shown what you refuse to see." "How do we stop it?" Obinna asks desperately. "You don't stop it, you survive it." The days that followed were torture. Nnenna tried to continue her silent punishment, but it backfired. Every time she cooked only for herself, she felt Obinna's hunger as if it were her own stomach growling. Every bite she took tasted like ash in her mouth because she could feel his pain watching her eat. She slammed the potluck down one evening, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't do it anymore. The spite she had clung to for weeks was now cutting her from the inside. Obinna wasn't doing any better either. He had paid only his half of the roof repair again, leaving her side leaking. But when the rain came that night and water dripped on her mat, he felt the cold wetness on his own skin. He shivered, even though his side was completely dry. Their pride was being turned into a weapon against them now. Every selfish choice, every petty revenge, every cold silence hurt them both equally now. The separation they had tried so hard to create was being shattered by an invisible force neither of them understood. Nnenna looked across the room at Obinna. He looked back, and in that moment they both realized the same terrifying truth. They couldn't escape each other anymore. Obinna broke first. He had always been the strong one, the one who carried burdens without complaining, the one who never cried. But under the weight of this supernatural link, he couldn't hide anymore. Every wall he had built around his heart came crashing down. One morning, Nnenna woke up feeling something strange. Sadness. But not her sadness. Deeper. Older. She followed the feeling and found Obinna sitting outside, his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. Through their connection, she felt everything. His childhood, his father's harsh words. Boys don't cry, men don't break, never show weakness. She felt how those words had shaped him, how they had turned him into someone who couldn't apologize, because apologizing felt like surrender. She saw the scared little boy hiding inside the proud man, and her heart cracked open. "Obinna," she whispered, her voice trembling. He looked up, tears on his face. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I'm so sorry." But before she could respond, another vision slammed into both of them, stronger this time, more urgent. In the vision, someone else stood near the forbidden tree, a shadow, watching. For the first time in weeks, They sat down and actually talked. Not yelling, not accusing, just talking. Quietly, carefully, like two wounded animals approaching each other. I never meant to embarrass you at the festival, Obinna said softly. I was just joking with my friends. I didn't know it hurt you that much. And I never should have said those things about your earnings, Nnenna replied, her voice thick with regret. I was just angry. I wanted you to feel the pain I felt. They were finally opening up, finally being honest. It should have been a relief. But just as the words started flowing, the visions returned, harder, faster, blinding flashes of images. The forbidden tree, the day of Obinna's accident, and that shadow again. A person standing behind the tree, watching Obinna approach, reaching up. Both of them gasped and grabbed their heads. What was that? Nnenna whispered. I don't know, but someone was there the day I fell. Someone I didn't see. Their eyes met, wide with fear. This wasn't just about their pride anymore. Something darker was at play.
They went back to Mazi Chukura immediately, their hands clasped together this time. The old man listened carefully as they described the vision of the shadow near the tree. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. The forbidden tree does not act randomly. It responds to wounded hearts, yes, but it also reveals hidden truths. What do you mean? Nnenna asked. Your accident, Obinna, was not just bad luck. The tree showed you to each other because your pride needed breaking. But something else happened that day. Something human. Something deliberate. Obinna's blood ran cold. Are you saying someone caused my fall? Mazi nodded grimly. The tree exposes what is hidden, and it seems there is more hidden than just your feelings for each other. He leaned forward, his old eyes sharp. Tell me the truth. What really happened that festival night? All of it. Nnenna and Obinna looked at each other, and slowly, piece by piece, they began to remember details they had pushed aside. Small things, strange things, things that suddenly seemed important. Nnenna spoke first, her voice barely above a whisper. That night at the festival, I wasn't just upset about what you said, Obinna. I was upset because of who heard it. What do you mean? He asked. She hesitated, shame flooding her face. Before I married you, there was someone else. Ifidita. He wanted to marry me, but I chose you instead. He was at the festival that night, standing right there when you made that joke. He laughed, loudly, like he was enjoying my humiliation. Obinna's jaw tightened. Ifedita, his neighbor, the man who always seemed too friendly, too interested in their lives. After the festival, Nnenna continued, he came to me in the market. He said, if you ever get tired of being disrespected, my door is always open. I told him to leave me alone. But Obinna, I think he's been watching us, waiting for us to fall apart. Through their emotional link, Obinna felt her fear, her guilt for not telling him sooner. And underneath it all, he felt something else. She had been protecting their marriage even while they were tearing it apart from the inside. Obinna took a deep breath. It was his turn to confess. I knew Ifedito wanted you. Before we got married, he told me I didn't deserve you. He said you would see the truth one day and leave me for someone better. Nnenna's eyes widened. You never told me this. I was ashamed, Obinna admitted. He was richer than me back then, more educated, and part of me believed him. Part of me always feared you would realize you made a mistake choosing me. That's why I paid only my half of everything. I wanted to show you I wasn't weak, that I didn't need you. But through their link, Nnenna felt the deeper truth. He had needed her desperately, every single day. His pride was just armor protecting a terrified heart. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for everything." Before Nnenna could respond, the emotional link between them suddenly flared with intensity. Pain shot through both their chests. They gasped and fell to their knees. Mozzie's voice cut through their agony. "You're telling the truth too fast. The link cannot handle this much honesty at once." The link between them grew stronger and more dangerous every day. It was like a rope pulled too tight, ready to snap. Whenever one of them tried to hide even the smallest feeling, both of them felt dizzy, sick. The spiritual bond was demanding complete transparency, but their human hearts weren't ready. Nnenna collapsed one afternoon while fetching water. Obinna came running from across the village. He found her on the ground, gasping, clutching her chest. "I can't breathe. It's too much. I feel everything. Your pain, your fear, your regret. It's drowning me." He lifted her, carried her home. Mozzie came quickly, his face grave. "The link will continue to grow until nothing is hidden between you. Every secret, every hurt, every unspoken word will be forced into the light. If you resist, it will destroy you both." "How do we stop it?" Obinna begged. "You cannot stop truth. You can only surrender to it." That night, they held each other for the first time in weeks, not out of love, but out of survival. They were both terrified. Mozzie gathered herbs and prepared a ritual. He led them to the riverside under the moonlight. The water glowed silver. The air was thick with something ancient and watchful. "This will not break the bond, but it may slow it down, give you time to face what must be faced." They knelt together, hands clasped, as Mozzie chanted words in the old language. He poured river water over their heads. The water was cold, but when it touched their skin, it felt warm, alive. For a moment, the crushing weight of their shared emotions eased. They could breathe again. The link was still there, but quieter now, gentler. Nnenna almost smiled with relief, but then Obinna stiffened. He was staring at the water. The surface was glowing brighter, forming shapes, images. "Do you see that?" he whispered. Nnenna looked down and gasped. In the water's reflection, they saw the forest, the forbidden tree, and Obinna's accident replaying like a memory. But this time they saw more. They saw the shadow behind the tree, reaching up, shaking the branch. "Someone pushed it," Nnenna breathed.
Someone made you fall. The vision in the water showed more. The shadow moved, and for just a moment, a face became clear. Ifedata. His expression was twisted with jealousy and rage. He had been there that day. He had seen Obinna approaching the forbidden tree and saw an opportunity. "He tried to hurt you?" Nnenna whispered, horror flooding her voice. Obinna's fists clenched. Anger surged through him, and instantly Nnenna felt it too. Their shared rage was overwhelming. "We need to confront him," Obinna said. But Mozzie held up his hand. "No, not yet. We still don't have the full truth. The tree revealed him for a reason, but there is more." "What more could there be?" Nnenna asked. Mozzie's eyes were dark and knowing. The tree did not just reveal Ifedata. It revealed you to each other. Why? Your pride was poison, yes, but many couples have pride. Why did the tree choose you? The question hung in the air, unanswered. And deep in the forest, the forbidden silk cotton tree seemed to whisper in the wind, calling them back. The truth wasn't finished revealing itself yet. The next day, whispers spread through Amuru village.
Someone had seen Ifedata near the forbidden tree the day of Obinna's accident. Someone else remembered seeing him watching the Nnenna and Obinna's house late at night. The evidence was mounting. Mazi gathered the village elders and called Ifedata to the center of the compound. The Nnenna and Obinna stood together, their hands clasped. The entire village watched in tense silence. Ifedata, Mazi said, firmly, speak the truth. Were you at the forbidden tree the day Obinna fell? Ifedata's face went pale. He looked around at the watching faces, trapped. Finally, he nodded. Yes, I was there. Gasps echoed through the crowd. I was angry, Ifedata continued, his voice shaking. I saw them destroying their marriage over nothing, over pride and stupidity. And I thought if Obinna was gone, maybe Nnenna would finally see me. So yes, I shook that branch. I wanted to scare him, maybe hurt him a little. Nnenna's hand flew to her mouth. Obinna's entire body tensed with rage. But then Ifedata added something unexpected. But something else moved that tree. When I shook the branch, I felt resistance, like the tree was fighting me or helping me. I don't know. Mazi closed his eyes and nodded slowly, as if he had expected this. The spirit of the tree, he said softly. The crowd fell completely silent. The forbidden silk cotton tree is not evil. It is ancient. It is a guardian. When Ifedata tried to harm Obinna, the tree did not stop him. Do you know why? Everyone waited breathless. Because the tree saw two hearts poisoned by pride. It saw a marriage dying slowly, and it decided to intervene, not with punishment, but with revelation. As if summoned by his words, the wind picked up. It swirled through the compound, carrying with it the scent of earth and old wood. And then, impossibly, a voice came through the wind. Neither male nor female, timeless. I did not punish him. I revealed you to each other. The crowd stepped back in fear. Nnenna and Obinna held each other tightly. You were killing your love with silence, the voice continued. So I gave you each other's pain, each other's truth. You could no longer hide. You could no longer pretend. And now you see. The wind died down. The voice faded. And Mazi spoke. The spirit demands a final act. Mazi explained what had to be done. To break the painful intensity of their connection, to transform it from curse to blessing, Nnenna and Obinna had to perform a ritual of complete honesty. In front of the entire village, they each had to admit one truth they had never spoken out loud, the deepest truth, the most hidden fear. Nnenna went first. She stood before everyone, tears already streaming down her face. My whole life, she began, her voice breaking, I was told that a woman's worth is in how well she serves, how obediently she loves. And when Obinna embarrassed me at the festival, I felt worthless. I cooked only for myself because I wanted to prove I had value beyond serving him. But I was wrong. I wasn't proving my worth. I was destroying something precious. She turned to Obinna. My deepest fear is that I am not enough. Not smart enough, not beautiful enough, not worthy of being truly loved. That's why I hurt you. Because I was already hurting. Obinna stepped forward, his own tears falling freely now. My father taught me that a man who shows emotion is weak, that asking for help is shameful, that needing someone makes you less.
So I paid only my half because I wanted to prove I didn't need you. But the truth is, Nnenna, I need you more than air. My deepest fear is that one day you'll see how weak I really am and leave me. That's why I hurt you, because I was terrified of losing you. The ground beneath them trembled. The air shimmered. The spiritual link between them pulsed once, twice, then gently dissolved. But something remained. A soft thread of connection, empathy, understanding, forever changed. The painful intensity was gone. The overwhelming flood of each other's emotions had faded to a gentle awareness. Nnenna and Obinna could still sense each other, but now it felt like a gift instead of a curse. They could tell when the other was truly happy or quietly sad. They could feel when the other needed comfort or space. The punishment had become a blessing. Their marriage didn't become perfect overnight, but it became real, honest. They learned to communicate without waiting for a spiritual force to do it for them. They learned to apologize quickly and forgive fully. As for Ifeidata, he faced his own consequences. The very next week, his crops withered for no reason. His harvest, which should have been abundant, turned to dust. The elders said the forbidden tree had marked him for violating sacred ground with malicious intent. He left the Muru village soon after, broken and humbled. Mazi Chukwuara sat with Nnenna and Obinna one final evening, watching them laugh together as they prepared dinner side by side. "You see," he said softly, "even spirits fight to keep a home whole when the hearts inside choose humility over pride." Nnenna served 2 bowls this time, full and equal. Obinna paid every bill in full, refusing to ever divide their home again. And somewhere in the forest, the ancient silk cotton tree stood silent and satisfied. Its roots deep in both earth and spirit, its branches reaching toward the sky, watching, waiting, ready to teach the next prideful hearts the same eternal lesson. When you divide your home, you divide yourself. But when you humble your heart, even the spirits become your allies. That is how the story ends, and that is how the lesson lives on.